The Witch of Endor is famous for raising the prophet Samuel from the dead at the request of King Saul, only to have him deliver a prophecy that spelled doom for the king. But who was this mysterious sorceress? And how did her dark magic bring about Saul's tragic end? Join us today as we explore the story of the Witch of Endor and discover the terrifying truth behind her dark magic and chilling prophecy. The Witch of Endor. The story of the Witch of Endor can be found in the Hebrew Bible, specifically in the book of 1 Samuel, chapters 28 and 29. At this point in the narrative, the Israelites are engaged in a protracted war with the Philistines, and their king, Saul, is desperate for a way to get the upper hand. Unfortunately for Saul, his disobedience towards God has resulted in a falling out between him and the Almighty, who has refused to answer his prayers or guide him through his prophetic servants. As a result, Saul is now lost and alone, wandering the wilderness with no hope of divine assistance. In his desperation, Saul turns to a forbidden source of power, dark magic. He disguises himself and journeys to the city of Endor, where he seeks out a local witch known as the Witch of Endor. She is renowned in the community for her ability to communicate with spirits, and Saul hopes that she will be able to raise the spirit of a deceased prophet and provide him with the answers he so desperately needs. However, when the Witch of Endor lays out the terms of their bargain, it becomes clear that there is a terrible cost to be paid for her services. Still, driven by his need for guidance, Saul agrees to her terms and prepares to make the ultimate sacrifice, raising Samuel. As the Witch of Endor began the ritual to raise Samuel, the atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. The room was filled with an otherworldly presence as the spirit of the prophet began to manifest before them. It was a truly remarkable sight, and Saul was filled with both awe and terror as he witnessed the return of his former leader. The witch had successfully raised Samuel from the dead, but the reunion between the two men was not to be a joyous one. Instead, the spirit of Samuel was bound to a chariot with fiery horses and surrounded by a whirlwind. His appearance was terrifying, and he spoke to Saul with a voice that shook the very foundations of the house. Nevertheless, Saul persevered in his quest for knowledge and pressed Samuel for information on the upcoming battle against the Philistines. But the prophet's response was far from what the king had hoped to hear. Samuel told Saul that God had abandoned him and that his kingdom would be given to someone else. In fact, the prophet went even further and delivered a litany of woes that were sure to befall Saul's family. To top it all off, Samuel then proceeded to prophesy that the next day he and his sons would die in battle against the Philistines. It was a devastating message, but one that Saul needed to hear if he was to have any hope of avoiding the terrible fate that awaited him. Despite the gravity of Samuel's warning, Saul thanked the prophet for his guidance and dismissed him, allowing the spirit to depart back to the realm of the dead. With this knowledge, Saul was now faced with a difficult decision. He could either try to defy Samuel's prophecy and fight the Philistines, knowing that it would likely lead to his demise, or he could choose to do nothing and watch as his kingdom was taken from him without a fight. Torn between his desire to protect his legacy and his fear of the future, Saul ultimately decided to follow Samuel's advice and prepared himself for the inevitable, the cost of magic. The Witch of Endor watched intently as Saul listened to Samuel's prophecy. She knew that the price she had demanded for her services was a heavy one, but she had no control over the nature of the bargain. When Samuel had been raised, he had made it clear that he would only speak the truth, no matter how painful it may be. And so she had no choice but to allow the prophet to deliver his message. However, the Witch of Endor was not without her own fears. She knew that the spirit of Samuel was powerful and unpredictable, and she worried that he might turn his wrath upon her if he felt that she had betrayed him. Despite her trepidation, the witch remained steadfast in her resolve to honor her bargain. She understood that if she were to break her word, she would lose her power and her life, and she was not willing to risk that. As Saul departed, the witch returned to the ritual circle and began to undo the magic that had brought Samuel back to the land of the living. It was dangerous work, and she knew that she was treading a fine line between success and disaster. If she made a mistake, the spirit of Samuel could become trapped between the worlds, and her power could be drained away forever. But she persevered, determined to complete the ritual and collect her payment from the grateful king. However, the Witch of Endor's plans were once again thwarted by the unpredictable nature of magic. As she performed the final incantations, the spirit of Samuel grew angry, believing that she had tricked him into delivering his prophecy. The room filled with dark energy as the spirit began to attack her, causing the witch to flee in terror. She ran as fast as she could, but the spirit was relentless and soon caught up to her. With a final burst of energy, Samuel's spirit trapped the Witch of Endor within the ritual circle, and she was forced to watch as the power of magic surged through her, draining her of her life force. The witch screamed in agony as she realized that she had been defeated, but her cries went unheard. No one came to her rescue, and she was left to die a horrible and slow death at the hands of the very spirit that she had sought to control. Legacy of Fear. The story of the Witch of Endor serves as a reminder of the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge and the importance of honoring one's bargains. Saul's decision to consult a witch in order to gain the upper hand against his enemies ultimately led to his downfall, as well as the destruction of the Witch of Endor. The prophet Samuel's warning proved true, and Saul's kingdom was eventually taken from him, leaving his family line without an heir to carry on their legacy. The tale also highlights the power of fate and the futility of trying to escape one's destiny. Despite Saul's best efforts to avoid the prophecy that had been foretold about him, he was ultimately unable to escape the grim fate that awaited him. The Witch of Endor's death was equally tragic. Her desire to help Saul and receive her payment in return led to her being trapped within the ritual circle and drained of her life force. She became a cautionary tale for those who sought to practice dark magic, reminding them that even the most powerful witches were not immune to the consequences of their actions. Overall, the story of the Witch of Endor is a powerful and disturbing one that continues to resonate with readers today. It serves as a reminder of the dangers of seeking forbidden knowledge and the importance of respecting the power of fate. Whether we are kings in need of guidance or witches looking to make a quick profit, we must remember the lessons of the past and avoid the mistakes of those who came before us. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and join our community. Don't forget to like, share, and comment below with your thoughts and suggestions for future videos. Your support helps us continue sharing these stories and learning about history together. Stay tuned for more tales of magic, mystery, and adventure.